Welcome to today's immigration tidbit. So, the answer to your question is no. You're not going to get derivative citizenship from your mother because you were 20. The derivation would have had to have occurred prior to when you're 18, not 20. Now, given I said that, there are all different kinds of ways to derive citizenship. And the interesting thing about citizenship law is that it's not what it is right now. I mean, it might be for you, but the law is what it was when the event occurred that would give rise to whether derivation happens or not. Now, let me just go back a second and explain what derivation is. The normal way that people usually obtain citizenship is, they go through the whole procedure, they get a green card, and then either 3 or 5 years later, they apply for naturalization. Okay, that would be different. Naturalization, of course, you're a U.S. citizen, but derivation means that there's really nothing that you had to do, and because of events that are surrounding your situation, you automatically became a U.S. citizen. And if you had to pick between one or the other, derivation or naturalization, derivation would be the one to pick from, because with naturalization, there are issues that can arise where they can try to take that away from you. And I'm not saying that's easy, but they can, go into denaturalization proceedings, and then, one day you're a U.S. citizen, the next thing you're fighting just to stay in the country. With derivation, you're as good as essentially someone who's born here, and there's nothing on this earth they can do to take away derivation. So you're safer, okay? And so I'll give you an example of a couple different scenarios, just so you get an idea and understanding that when one is analyzing derivation, you have to, what I do is I have a nice citizenship chart that's in front of me, and it has when the event occurred. If the event occurred after 2001, then you look at the requirements of that particular line. If it happened between 1986 and 2000, you look between those two lines, and it goes all the way back. And then you have to look and you have to see if it deals with one parent being a U.S. citizen and the other parent being a foreign national, or one parent being a U.S. citizen and the other parent naturalizing, or whether it has to do with even two parents but they're not married, and who raises, and then has to do, depending if it's the male or female that you're trying to derive through, whether there was legitimation. So there's all kinds of analysis. That's why a lot of times when I get emails, they'll send me like two facts. They'll say, okay, am I a U.S. citizen through, and they don't know the word derivation, but they'll go, am I a U.S. citizen? And I can't just answer it that quickly without getting a whole lot more facts. There are some that involve the person you're deriving from has to show, for example, on some, that they lived in the U.S. for 10 years prior to when you were born, and like 4 years after. And again, it all varies. It's an interesting area of law because, when you have to first analyze which date you have to analyze the law and how it was at that time. It's a unique area of analyzation of law, because normally you don't do it like that, with most other areas of immigration law. So in your particular case, I started off by saying, no, you can't derive because whatever events occurred happened when you were 20, okay? But that doesn't mean that there might not be something else that occurred prior to when you were 18 that you're unaware of that might allow you to derive citizenship. And again, as I just said, there's not enough facts in your question in order to determine that. So I would not give up just because you had to be 18 when your mom turned to become a citizen rather than 20. Now on the other side of the coin, there are cases where even if you were 18 and even if your mom did become a citizen, you might not derive citizenship. So it is very factually dependent on the situation and certain things and which law, back in time we're applying to get the answer. So if you think there's a chance, then by all means, go to someone who knows what they're doing to do the analysis. I once had, on a side note, I once represented this guy. He was like over 60 years old. He was in removal proceedings. They were trying to deport him because of, crimes and various reasons. And when I inquired into his past and when I analyzed the situation, I found that there was a very reasonable chance that in fact this guy was a U.S. citizen through derivation, and that it happened some 50 years prior to when he was in proceedings and he had no idea. And sure enough, the judge dismissed the case and he was let go. That doesn't mean he's a U.S. citizen, but that means I presented enough evidence to the judge that the judge believed there was a reasonable chance. And then, of course, afterwards, we prepared the proper derivative citizenship application, and sure enough, he was granted. So you never know. Okay, don't give up. Okay.